Last month, Super Mario Maker 2 received its first set of DLC. The big highlight of this update was Link being added in as a power-up for Mario. This wasn't just aesthetic, but it also gave Mario Link's moveset with his sword, shield, bombs, and arrows. Since I'm sure we'll be getting more DLC for Super Mario Maker 2 in the future, I want to discuss 5 more Nintendo characters I think would make cool power-ups. This list won't be in any particular order, and this will only include non-Mario characters. I do think it would be cool if we got, say, a Bowser power-up, for example, but I really want to focus on other game series like The Legend of Zelda for Link. I'll explain what I think each character could do, and maybe some other things that they could bring, like how Link has special music in the game, like the fairy fountain theme when you use the peaceful sound effect. But before we get started, it turns out that only about 10% of my viewers are actually subscribed to the channel. So if you enjoy this video, then it would mean a lot to me if you subscribe for more on Mario Maker 2 and anything else Nintendo Switch. But with that being said, let's jump into 5 characters I'd like to see in an update for Super Mario Maker 2. Also, be prepared for a lot of references to Smash Ultimate, as Smash Ultimate has a lot of the moves I feel like they would have here. First off, we have the protagonist of the Metroid series, Samus. Now, I don't know much about her or the next character on this list, so their segments will be a bit shorter than the other ones. Samus would have her signature charge shot on ZR. I would put it on Y, but the functionality I want to give it would get in the way of Mario running. Basically, I want it to work similar to Smash, where you can shoot a small one that would only kill one enemy, or you can charge one that'd be much bigger, and would be able to kill through a bunch of enemies. Samus would also have her missile on Y. This would be a small projectile that could explode upon contact with an enemy or iron block and do a mini explosion which can break iron blocks and other things. Finally, Samus would have her bombs on Y and down, which would work like the bombs, however they don't damage her. Her sprite would likely be based off Metroid for the NES, and instead of taking up as much space as Small Mario, she'd be the same height as Super Mario. I can't speak for what else she may bring because I don't know the Metroid series too well, but those are just some of my ideas for her moveset. Next up is one of Nintendo's newest characters, the Inklings. The Inklings would have multiple weapons like they do in Smash. First off, Inkling would have the splatter shot, which you could aim and rapidly shoot at enemies. On down and Y, the Inkling should be able to use their roller and ram through enemies like Link can with his Stass attack. The thing is that just like in Splatoon and Smash Bros, the Inkling would need to recharge their ink, which would likely just be on the down button. The Inkling sprite would likely be based off their sprite from Mario Maker 1, as that is, as far as I'm aware, their only sprite appearance. Sorry for the short segment, but again, don't really know much about the Inklings or Samus, so these two will be short, but we'll get into more longer segments with the next one. So I did say that I wasn't going to cover any Mario characters, but Wario is from the Wario series, so... Anyways, Wario would have a shoulder bash on down and Y, allowing him to charge through a group of enemies for a short amount of time. He wouldn't be able to hold this forever, and it probably would only go about, say, 10 blocks or so. However, the main reason I wanted him here is his bike, which would be on up and Y. Using this, he would be able to run over enemies, activate switches, and even ride over things like spikes and munchers. The physics would work a lot better than the Koopa car, as I feel like that item's speed and physics just never really felt right. He'd be able to much more easily turn around in his motorcycle than the Koopa car, maintaining a similar speed. Wario would be able to jump out of his bike with ZR, and either jump back on it, or pick it back up to throw it if he presses Y next to it. The bike would be able to kill enemies when thrown, and it can even be thrown directly upwards as well. Wario would likely take his look from WarioWare, as his main bike comes from there. His sprite would again be based off of the one from Super Mario Maker 1, just like the Inklings. Next up is Pikachu. Being the most iconic Pokemon, he'd of course be the first choice to be turned into a Mario power-up from the Pokemon franchise. Pikachu would have Thunder Jolt on Y, which would go along the ground and walls like in Smash Bros, which would be helpful in killing enemies that cling to walls like Spike Tops and wall-clinging Piranha Plants. On up and Y, Pikachu would have Skull Bash, which would launch him forwards. This would be helpful for Pikachu to allow him to go over long horizontal gaps. He would however get stopped if he hits an enemy on his path. He would also be able to activate switches if he hits them. Pikachu would also have Thunder on down and Y, which would be useful for killing or activating things a few blocks above Pikachu. Finally, he would have Quick Attack on ZR, which would allow him to move in any direction very quickly and go through enemies, damaging them. It wouldn't go as far as a fully charged Skull Bash, and it wouldn't activate switches, so there would be some advantages to using both of these. So basically, Pikachu would get all of his specials from Smash. Now, Pikachu is actually the first character on this list I can talk about some music for. The heartbeat sound effect could be replaced with a low health sound from Pokemon. Upon completing a level, it could play the victory theme from one of the games, likely Pokemon Red. The boss fight theme could be Red's theme from Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver, my personal favorite Pokemon track. And the mini-boss theme could be a gym leader's theme. Pokemon has a lot of different music that could be used, so I think it'd be neat if Pikachu had a ton of different sound effects and music with him. As for its sprite, it would likely be based off, once again, his Mario Maker 1 sprite. However, there is a chance they could possibly get his Pokemon Yellow sprite working. Now I saved who I think would definitely be the most interesting for last, Kirby. Before we get into his main move, let's cover some of his other ones first. He would have his slide kick on down and Y, which I'm super surprised isn't his down tilt in Smash, seeing as he uses it in most Kirby games, but as a Kirby main in Smash Ultimate, I definitely wouldn't want his down tilt to be changed. Kirby would also have multiple jumps, likely not infinite, as that would make him really overpowered in Mario platformer games. I would say maybe around 3. But his main move would of course be Inhale on Y when standing still. Using this, he would be able to copy many of the enemies in Super Mario Maker 2's abilities and use them for himself. Not all enemies though, as some of them wouldn't actually have any abilities, like how Waddle Dees don't have any abilities normally in Kirby games. For those enemies, he would spit them out like stars. Anyway, first let's cover the enemies he won't be able to copy before getting into the ones he can. He would get no powers from any 3D World enemies, as Kirby wouldn't be in that theme. Any bosses, as they wouldn't be able to be inhaled. Same with any big enemy. Goombas, Chain Chomps, the Angry Sun, the Moon, Bonsai Bills, Bloopers, Boo, Lava Bubbles, Piranha Plants, Monty Moles, Munchers, Pokies, and Wigglers. So now let's cover some of the copy abilities he would get. Using a Koopa, he would basically be able to use the Blue Shell power-up from Mario Bros. DS. Bob-Bombs would let Kirby blow up blocks and enemies around him like a bomb. Bullet Bills would allow Kirby to go over large horizontal gaps, basically like the Mario Odyssey Bullet Bill capture. This would be activated by pressing Y. Buzzy Beetles and Spinies would basically just give Kirby the shell mitts, and they'd act the same as they do when Mario wears them. Cheep Cheeps would let Kirby swim faster. Dry Bones, otherwise known as the best gaming character, hashtag Dry Bones for Smash, could either give Kirby the Dry Bones shell, or let Kirby throw bones, like he can in Super Mario World. The Fire Piranha Plant would let Kirby shoot fire. Fish Bones would let Kirby swim even faster than normal Cheep Cheeps, but you can't change the direction and you can't stop until you hit a wall. This boost would also be activated on Y. Hammer Bros would let you throw hammers like the Hammer Suit in Mario 3. Lakitu would let you throw Spinies using Y, which could be used to activate things like Note Blocks. Magic Koopas would let Kirby use magic to change blocks just like a Magic Koopa can, activated by pressing Y. Rocket Wrenches would let Kirby go into the ground with down and throw wrenches with Y. Spike Tops would let Kirby be able to climb walls by just walking into them. Finally, Thwomps would let Kirby basically use his stone ability when he uses down and Y in the air. Spikes would let you throw spike balls in the air. If you ever get hit, you'll lose the ability, but the Kirby power stays. If you want to lose an ability intentionally to get a different one, then you could press ZR, like how you could taunt to get rid of one in Smash, or just get rid of one in the Kirby games. Kirby would be by far one of the most interesting characters they could add, and out of all the ones listed here, is definitely the one I want to see the most. As for music he could have, he'd probably have his Kirby victory theme when beating a level, and I'd be very sad if they didn't include Gourmet Race somewhere in the game. His sprite would likely be based off the NES Kirby games, maybe having a different HUD at the top to show what power you have. But anyways, that's it for this video. What are some characters you think would be cool to see as power-ups in Super Mario Maker 2? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, then please leave a like, or maybe even subscribe for more content on Mario Maker 2 and all things Nintendo Switch, as that helped me out a huge bunch. Again, only about 10% of you that watch my videos are actually subscribed to the channel, so it'd mean a lot if you did subscribe. Links to my Discord server and Twitter, along with my Mario Maker ID, are all in the description. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.